sometimes it's hard to stand out in a crowd. Here you can see the Aptera Gamma prototype getting all the attention, but there is a Miss GoElectric booth behind the sea of mostly male EV enthusiasts. Women may not be the face of this movement right now, but we are becoming increasingly visible and vocal. It was an honor to be invited to participate in the 2022 Fully Charged live show at the San Diego Convention Center. It was a memorable trip overall, but the big highlight was leading a panel with some of my heroes in this space on the mega theater stage. Well, welcome everyone. My name is Miss GoElectric, aka Lacey, and today we are going to be hosting a panel called Women's Vital Role in the Transition to EVs. Many people don't know, but back in the 1800s, EVs were actually pretty prevalent, and especially among women. And nowadays we're starting to see a big resurgence of EVs in the marketplace. And today I want to talk about specifically how women are influencing this EV transition. And I am so excited, I'm fangirling a little bit, about my panel guests, because we have a powerhouse lineup, people. We have, first off, Chelsea Sexton. You can come on up, Chelsea, have a seat here. And I'm sure you all know who Chelsea is. She's going to go over her bio here in a little bit. We also have Nicole from EVgo. She's actually in charge of charging infrastructure there. Welcome, Nicole. Thanks for joining us today. We have Dr. EV Shelley of EVHybrid Noire and EV Noire. Thanks for joining us today. And finally, we have Kitty Adams from Adopt a Charger. This topic is very near and dear to my heart, so I really appreciate you all coming, and I'm really excited to talk to these women about this important topic. So, to start off, what I want to do is have each one of them introduce themselves and give a little bit of a bio about what they're doing at their companies, and we'll get into the nitty-gritty about how they're impacting the EV marketplace. So, we'll start off here with Kitty Adams.
Okay, I'm Kitty Adams, Executive Director of Adopt a Charger. It's a nonprofit organization that I started with some people from Plug in America back in 2011. And basically we try to get EV chargers installed in difficult to commercialize locations like national parks, state parks, museums, universities, places where people routinely drive 30 to 40 miles to get there. They stay for 2 to 3 hours. They get a legitimate charge on level 2, and just kind of offering up an antidote to all these crazy EV charging schemes. Thank you.
And Dr. EV Shelley.
Hi everyone, great to be here with you today. So Dr. EV Shelley, also known Shelley Francis, in my everyday life. And so my background is from a medical school professor, specializing in public health disparities, and also a national board member of the Electric Vehicle Association. And as you all saw or have heard from Ms. GoElectric, also one of the co-founders of the EVHybrid Noire, which is a laser charging network of diverse so our organization works on specifically Noire as our consulting group, and we focus on electric connected sharing autonomous mobility solutions. And within that body of work, we focus on e-mobility or electrification best practices, and then electrification for EV diversity. So really excited to be here with everyone. Looking forward to this great conversation.
All right, we have Nicole Lewandowski from EVgo running charging infrastructure.
Yeah, hi. Thank you so much for having me here. I'm Nicole Lewandowski, our Vice President of Charging Infrastructure at EVgo. I've been with EVgo for about 4 years, and we find, design, and build really reliable fast charging stations with the mission to provide EV charging for all. So really excited to do this again.
Yes. And finally, the Chelsea Sexton.
Hey, I'm Chelsea. I started working in the General Motors EV1 back in the mid-90s. Fell in love, and have had one of the most unusual careers ever since. But lots and lots of fun. I've worn many hats, co-founding Plug in America and working in venture capital. I was a host on Fully Charged for a couple of years.
That's right.
These days, I work full-time with the Department of Energy, although I'm not representing them here today, so just Chelsea views. But I love running around with trying to transition as many fossil fuels into electrons and transportation.
Thank you all. I'm very honored to have all of you here, and thank you all for joining us today for this conversation. I want to kick off asking questions specifically because these women are all in the corporate space as far as the EV market goes. So let's talk a little bit about the impact of women in the business itself. So Kitty, I want to start off with you. Okay. And can you tell us why women have been the leaders in the EV field coming up, especially recently? Why do you think that is?
Well, I think a lot of it has to do with women are not necessarily motivated by greed. They want to do the right thing. You know, they want to save the world. They want to reduce carbon emissions. And, you know, there's still to this day, there's not a proven business case for EV charging, especially level 2 charging. So, you know, there's just not that profit motive. So, and we were just talking about this before the panel, that the major automakers are not even supporting this convention. Here we are, like 12 years in, and it's still up to the EV drivers to cultivate the demand for this new technology. There's not money to be made, so I think that's kind of why the women are stepping in, because we're mission driven, and we're trying to make a difference in the world we live in and kind of save the human race.
Watch out for Kitty, guys. She's on fire already. Okay, now I want to ask you, Dr. EV Shelley, you have a lot of experience with the advocacy as well, and with your expertise specifically in this space, you really have a unique background, and you're doing something that is very unique with getting in with the undeserved communities and getting charging infrastructure and people to adopt electric vehicles more prominent in those communities. So can you give us a little bit of insight as how you think, based on your experience, how your unique experiences have informed your work at EV Noire?
Absolutely. So my background as a former medical school faculty member, doing research and working in this space, one of the things that I was able to see quickly was the direct correlation between transportation emissions and the public health, consumer health, and the fact that some communities are
I'm not in control, I'm just a filmer.
By transportation emissions than others. So with that being said, I lead a team of mobility professionals who are working on the decarbonization strategies for multimodal transportation across the globe. And so I knew, like being in the research space, working in environmental public health, that we needed to use evidence-based research and frameworks to really be able to tease out best practice and recommendations to inform practice, policy, research, and pilots. So with that being said, we utilize a lot of strategy and expertise from the public health world to inform our approach. And so we've been able to compile one of the largest repositories of data looking at attitudes, knowledge, and experiences towards electrification, autonomous vehicles, as well as connected and shared technology. So one of the things that I think is even more relevant to this conversation is that we noticed some interesting emerging issues within that space. And so we've partnered with other organizations. So recently we partnered with Consumer Reports, Green Latinos, and Union of Concerned Scientists to look at some of those issues nationally. So we used a nationally represented sample of 8,000 consumers. And one of the really interesting things that we took away from that research, among numerous others, is that Black and Latino participants have the highest propensity to adopt electric vehicle technology. However, when you look at driving the vehicles on the road today, you see a very different story. So for our organization, while we focus on best practice as our core body of work and being able to utilize those strategies, we also are looking at how to get more consumers from all communities engaged in utilizing this technology.
Extremely important task that you have at hand, and you have been hammering at for a while now. All right, next I want to talk to Nicole. Nicole, you have been at EVgo for about 4 years now, but you've been in the industry for over 10 years, is that correct? Yeah, so can you give us a bit of insight on what brought you to the EV industry in particular as a female?
Yeah, so my career in EVs actually started at Tesla, where I opened up the first showroom in San Diego, spent close to 5 years focusing on getting to know future and current EV drivers and really understanding what's important to drivers. And then I was to drivers is what's really important is you need to know that you can refuel your car on the road. And so that's just where, for me, I was so motivated by not just supporting one OEM, but working on solving a problem that will affect all EV drivers regardless of what brand of EV you drive. So from there, I've been really focused on growing out the best fast charging infrastructure that we can, because while charging at home is where we're going to do the majority of all your charging, you need to know that you have the freedom and that you can count on the reliability of the chargers when you do want to travel long distance. And so that's been my key motivator of what's kept me in this industry as long as I have.
That's amazing. I'm a huge road tripper, if you guys don't know that about me, so I rely on those fast chargers going across the country. And some of you might know I was on a TV show, the NBC Sports Charge Across America, with my buddy Ryan over here, where we won the EV rally across the country, charging a Mustang Mach-E on many networks, and EVgo definitely saved us on that trip. So we appreciate what you're doing. All right, Chelsea, now you have been in the business for a very long time and you've seen a lot of things. I want to hear your perspective on making the journey from, back in the day when you launched the EV1 to what you're seeing now, and what you think is missing at this point with EV adoption as far as it relates to females.
This is only a half-an-hour panel, right? Look, I started as a 17-year-old car salesman even before EV1 was out. I was so used to being one of the guys for so long that it never even occurred to me to compare otherwise. The fact that we had a panel about women in the industry or as buyers or anything is still kind of a novelty to me. Although to me it's also a statement of how early we are in the entire diversity conversation, that we're just now starting to talk about women, let alone the very even more nascent communities of color and all the other populations that matter in this particular revolution. I have seen, statistically, women are always underestimated in vehicle purchasing. They account for 60% of purchasing decisions, but they're usually undercounted because it's the husband that comes first on the registration paperwork, something to that effect. So they tend to be less visible than they actually are in all of these conversations. And certainly from an activism perspective, there's the collaborativeness and inclusivity, the maternal aspect, and all sorts of other things that come into why women are willing to get involved. I would say especially the whole collaboration and inclusivity piece is increasingly important, because I am increasingly impatient. We've been at this for more than 25 years, and we're never going to get there quickly if we don't start learning from the lessons that came before, both successes and failures. And women are among the ones most willing to amass those lessons and share them with others and continue to have this conversation and make sure that we're not letting either the lessons, the information, or the people get lost along the way.
Yeah. Exactly. Yes. More applause. Yes. All right, back to you, Kitty. You are in the charging infrastructure realm. So my next question for you is, how does EV charging infrastructure impact the adoption of electric vehicles? I mean, I'm sure you know this very well.
This is a direct answer to the question, but it's the answer. Everybody here knows that the beauty of electric vehicles is the simplicity. There's not a lot of moving parts. There's no repairs. Well, with charging infrastructure, we are headed in the exact wrong direction, because it used to be I could install a charging station for like $6,000 per parking space. Level 2 charging is now like $22,000 to $25,000 per parking space. In order to qualify for all this grant money, you have to be Energy Star certified, you have to be ISO 1158 compliant, you have to swipe credit cards. It's a glorified electrical outlet. And the real problem where we're charging infrastructure, Tesla has said that that's their marketing, that's their outreach and education, is having these charging stations. The whole reason I started Adopt a Charger was to enable conversation between EV owners and people that are curious about EVs. There's a real disconnect at the dealer level when you're wanting to get information about the cars. So, EV chargers are broken or too expensive. It gives people the exact opposite message, and they think EV drivers aren't ready for prime time. And there's a lot of people out there that want to do the right thing and they want to host an EV charger. Well, good news, Goldman Sachs will finance that charge point charger that ranges in price from $8,000 to $14,000, and you'll never make money. There's no return on investment there's no business case for level 2 EV charging. I mean, I look at ChargePoint, who's been around longer than me. 15 years later, they're still not profitable. So we have to, you guys, I need you. I need to radicalize this audience. You guys are ambassadors for EV driving the cars, but also the infrastructure. We need to have same policy where people can offer charging as an amenity. So would you do me a favor? Everybody tweet Elon Musk and say support Adopt a Charger, okay? Because a little bit of money goes a long way when I'm installing EV chargers. And I say this all the time, Adopt a Charger's not me, it's we. So you guys, you gotta help me, right?
That's right. I told you guys, she's on fire. All right, Dr. EV Shelley, your work has been transformative and very important, but I want to hear a little bit more about what you're doing with the transformation that you are, a little bit more in detail about EV Noire's work and things specifically that you're working on at this moment.
Okay, so that's a really great question. So just going back to quickly refresh the audience that we work on electric, connected, shared, and autonomous mobility solutions. And so within that space, our team are subject matter experts within that sphere, but we're working on electrification projects around the country. So we might be doing things like forming infrastructure deployment, particularly right now, at this current space in time with everything that's happening, the IIJA, the NEVI plans, and now the IRA. Then we're also working with the auto manufacturers, so really helping them discern how they show up in the electrification conversation, how they're deploying marketing and researching deployment of their products in which consumer markets are positioned to be their next buyer. We're also informing and working with the 25 largest cities on their decarbonization and electrification strategies. One of my favorite projects is our annual national conference. So October 19th and October 20th of this year, we will hold our national mobility sustainability conference. And so one of our keynotes this year is Van Jones, Dr. Robert Fuller, who is the father of the environmental justice movement, for those who are not aware. And then we also have Dr. Dan Smiley, who's right here in California, one of the founders of the Transportation Institute at UC Davis, and about 40 other speakers as well. In terms of just thinking about how we should open this conversation today, when we look at the Bible and the electrification conversation, what many people don't know is that women have been engaged in EVs and electrification since the turn of the century. So I'm going to drop a fact. People probably don't know. 1908 was a very significant year in the electrification movement with women. In 1908, Madam C.J. Walker drove her Stoker Waverly. And in Indianapolis, she was driving into St. Louis, into New York State. And so we've been engaged in this conversation for 100 plus years. And she was a black woman at the turn of the century driving an electric vehicle. I mean, that's amazing. And then if you fast forward now, where women are in the conversation, we're influencing 85% of household purchases. But when you look at how things are marketed to women, particularly in the electric vehicle space, why aren't like half the panels at conferences like this panel with women's voice leading the way? Why aren't the marketing plans focused on targeting women? Because we're informing the purchasing decisions. So that was just something that I wanted to add. In terms of our organization, we are thinking about those issues as we're meeting with the different OEMs, the charging network companies in the cities, as well as thinking about how women can show up in workforce and economic development and entrepreneurship opportunities.
May I ask, where's this conference taking place?
Thank you. I get so excited about the work. So the conference is taking place October 19th. It's virtual. So it's anybody in this room across the globe can participate. You can go to eMobilityDEIconference.com and sign up for more information to register. On October 20th, that is going to be in person in DC at the National Press Club. And that's going to take place from 12 from DOE, DOT, EPA, joint office, and talking about maybe what's next now that we've gotten the plans in and people really gotten feedback and the landowners and plans, and then just talking about how we're getting rid of how the impacted IRA and to transform the electrification space. So I would encourage folks to share that information here live, definitely participate in that conference.
Absolutely. Thanks for sharing that. All right. So Nicole, you with EVgo, there's quite a few qualifications that you are searching out for when you are site selecting. Can you give us a little bit of insight on what some of those qualifications are when you are deciding to pick a site to install a charging station at, and how that might pertain to the influence that we have as women on what is getting implemented on those sites?
Absolutely. So when we're looking for a great location for fast charging, we're really looking at EV driver behavior, because we want to make sure that the locations that we're picking are really convenient to use. So we think about, what would be the use case in a particular market where someone want to go. So you're going to find a lot of EVgo charging stations at places like grocery stores, at shopping centers, at various connecting points to help you get to where you need to go. And we've actually been really fortunate to partner with a lot of really incredible brands to bring EVgo charging stations to brands that you know and love across the country. So it's been really great to watch our site development team build these partnerships with various companies and landowners to say, all right, where is it that an EV driver is going to want to go? How long are they going to be shopping there? Is it something where they're going to be there for maybe 20, 30, 40 minutes? And so then we'll try to then also pair charging speeds with that. Now we are very focused on bringing 350 kW speeds to the majority of all of our charging stations moving forward. And so with that, you're going to be able to refuel your vehicle very quickly, so that you can, get back to your day and you aren't there waiting for a long period of time. So focusing on bringing high-speed chargers to places that you already know and love and you're already shopping at or visiting in your communities, and then making sure that we're making sure that those are reliable charging stations that when you do go, you can count on them working and get you in your day.
Wonderful. That's what we like to hear. We want reliable charging stations. So thanks for that. All right, and Chelsea, I'll have one more question, and then we'll, if we have time, open up to the audience to have maybe one or two questions as well. So Chelsea, in a lot of conversations that I've had, in particular with women that own an EV, security is a concern when they're charging. And what do you think, from your perspective, is something that should be most considered by infrastructure companies to implement to ensure safety for charging experiences?
Well, I think the others have mentioned some of them. Obviously, we know we want locations to be secure, to be well lit, to have amenities. These are not just women things. No one wants to go to the backside of a dark alley. I'm well aware, and it's a story of a major EV network that refers internally to one of its chargers as the rape charger, because it's on the backside of the grocery store next to the dumpster with no lighting. That sort of thing is inexcusable, and it's not just trying to expect individual companies to raise their standards. We have to bake it into every public program that's going to help fund these things. Every federal, every state, every utility, every settlement, every public program has to have better and similar standards.
In the public funding, maybe someone would have something to do a little bit with that.
And if you think we're not stirring that pot internally,
we got the right woman behind the job. Chelsea is working with the DOE to get that funding, so she's definitely the right person to have in that, right?
Well, certainly I use whatever influence I might happen to have as widely as possible.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, ladies. And I'd like to open it up to the audience for a question. We do have mics on either side. So, yes, we have a question right here for this woman. If you wouldn't mind. Yep, right there at the mic.
Another pioneering woman in EVs.
That's right.
Thank you. I am an advocate, and I want, oh my gosh, I'm blanking. Adopt a Charger, Kitty shared with us what we can do, something very concrete. I'd like to ask Chelsea the same question at this very unusual moment in time for those of us who have been doing it for a while. More federal money, billions of dollars, the state of California, maybe learning from our failures. Would love to hear about some of those. What do we need to do now as advocates and drivers, everyone who's listening?
My answer remains really, really quaint. This has always been a community-driven movement, for better and worse. I'm incredibly proud about this fact. I'm also incredibly disappointed this has to be true. But it has always been all of you and all of us yanking everybody else into this. One of the best things that I ever get the privilege to do is to elevate women like this on panels like these, and to recommend new and upcoming voices and candid voices. We have to have so much more real talk than tends to happen at a lot of these things. And so individually, some of the best things that any of you can do, male or not, is to talk to everybody else you know and to try to infiltrate the conversations that are happening in your communities and your friends and neighbors or your workplace or whatever. It is a mind at a time that has gotten us to 1 million EVs in California and 6% penetration nationwide and several million Teslas, and all of our success has been up to this individual stuff. So it's not quite as concrete as tweet Elon, although feel free to do that too. But it is a tangible thing that everybody can do in their own way, in their own community, based on their own expertise that is not one size fits all, because we have to avoid that too.
All right, we have time for one more.
I would like to know why we are being tunnel vision into powering our cars with batteries. What's wrong with hydrogen power? Because there are lots of people who invented already a way of converting water, splitting it and creating energy, and then converting it back to water when they use up the energy. So this is what we would call a renewable energy. We are so tunnel vision now on batteries. And we know that they use lithium, which is a very toxic chemical. I know that I'm a chemist by profession.
Anyone want to take that, or I will? Yeah, go ahead, Kitty.
Who killed the electric car, Chelsea? that movie I didn't.
Right?
I don't know, has anybody seen the movie Who Killed the Electric Car? They do a really good job of explaining the difference between hydrogen technology and EVs. And so I think back on, when did that movie come out? 2007? We've sold over 1 million electric vehicles in California and maybe 27,000 hydrogen cars. And that's even when there's a carve out for hydrogen to get funding. So really, this is something where the demand is just not there. Hydrogen does make sense as a solution for stationary storage of renewable energy for the grid, but as far as commercial transportation, we would have to build out a parallel infrastructure to the gas companies when you can basically plug your electric car into any 120-volt plug. So I think that's really what has held back hydrogen, is it just doesn't make sense.
A little bit less efficient in comparison to battery electric vehicles. So that's also another reason that not only the infrastructure, but they are less efficient. So, all right, guys, I'm sorry that I know there are more questions, but we are out of time for today. I want to thank you all for joining us, and thank you all panelists for doing everything that you do in the community and joining me today to talk about this important topic. So appreciate it. I want to thank Fully Charged Live for inviting me and giving me the opportunity to host this panel. I also want to thank Kitty Adams from Adopt a Charger, Dr. EV Shelley from EVHybrid Noire, Nicole Lewandowski from EVgo, and EV expert Chelsea Sexton for joining me, as well as blazing the path forward for more women in this growing industry. And thank you all for watching this conversation, and I look forward to announcing more speaking engagements soon. Until next time, drive, fly, ride. Go electric.